All right, everyone, don't mind my beard. It's kind of wild today. I want to kind of do a video on doing a square setup on a Kia Stinger. I see a million posts a day on these things, and I see, people will comment, people will post pictures, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make a video on my specific situation with my car, and please don't mind. It's been dirty and dusty out here. I live in the country, so the car is black and it's filthy right now. But I want to just kind of go over what I had to do for a square wheel setup to go away from the staggered wheel setup that the factory came with the 19s. Kind of a little background. Basically what I did, I'm just going to flip around here. These wheels are Momo Catania wheels in anthracite gray. They are 18 by 8.5 with a plus 35 millimeter offset. These were actually on my WRX, and my WRX runs a 245/40/18. I wanted to get away from the staggered setup because I was chewing up rear tires like crazy. And I got tired of having to buy rears or whatever. I just got tired of this situation. So I blew up the engine on my WRX. My fuel pump went bad. It flooded the crankcase with fuel, washed my bearings, threw rod bearings. It won't even turn over anymore. So that's another project for another day. But I had these wheels sitting down there, and I thought, I'm going to see if they fit on this car. I popped them on. They went on right away. The only concern that I have, and you can see it here, it's actually kind of a good picture. If you look right in there, there is probably less than a millimeter of space between the inside of this wheel face and that caliper. I was really concerned about that, but I looked at it and I thought, the wheel shouldn't flex that much. I don't track the car. I'm not too concerned with it. Worst case scenario, I can run some spacers. So that was my biggest concern. Second biggest concern was up here. It's dark, but right here is the strut tower, or the strut spring mount. I was concerned with the tire hitting that. There's actually more room than I thought up and down. I can't go much wider though on the front because the strut is literally like right there. It's like a couple millimeters away. So what I did is my square setup all the way around is a 255/40/18. I went down to 18s from 19s. And like I said before, these are an 18 by 8.5 wheel with a plus 35 offset. A couple of things to keep in mind when you do this. It doesn't matter if you go 19s, if you go to 18s, whatever you do for size, you need to pay attention to your offset, but you also need to pay attention to the shape of the wheel. I've had some wheels that when they come off the face of the mount, or whatever you want to call it, the wheel face, they'll come out and then they're like straight out. These kind of come at an angle and then kind of go out. So you do have to be mindful of the shape of the wheel. People might say, oh, a plus 35 or a plus 38 fits, no problem. But if the back side of the wheel has a weird shape to it, you're going to have issues. Oh yeah, and on an 18, they fit fine. Distance-wise from the caliper here, they fit perfect. So you need to be mindful of that. You also need to be mindful of your tire size. On the rears, you're fine. Plenty of room in the rears. And the stance is actually pretty good with these. I don't have spacers on or anything. Rear caliper is so much smaller that it's not even an issue. Plenty of room with the struts, which is fine because the factories were 255/35/19. My concern became what fits on the front. So if you're not too familiar with tires, the way this works is the 255 is the section width. Basically the width of the tire, I always say tread to tread, some people don't, but it's 255 millimeters wide from edge to edge, and that's your section width. The 40 means that the height of the tire, this is called your aspect ratio, the height of the tire is 40% of the width. That's what that means. And then the 18 is obviously your wheel diameter. So it's kind of funny. You go metric, percentages, and then inches. I always thought that was kind of funny. 95 Y. Y is the speed rating. I think Y is up to 168 miles an hour or something like that. M&S means mud and snow. This is the 3-peak mountain flake or snowflake or whatever it is. These are an all-season snow-rated tire. They're the Pirelli Centurados. These are an amazing tire. I should post a video up, but I took this car to California this summer and back, and on the way we stopped at the Bonneville Salt Flats both times. The first time we went out there, I took this up. I did probably 2 to 3 runs at over 140 miles an hour with this car on these tires with a full load of luggage, 2 people. Insanely stable car. This thing is, I actually slowed down because it's kind of a weird feeling driving out there that fast. But it was pretty cool. So these tires were amazing. The other thing is too, at that speed, I was worried about like the brake calipers rubbing or whatever. Never had any issue. Never had any issue with the tires. I mean, I was doing 4-wheel drifts on the salt flats. It was kind of fun. So when you go to look back to the original story, when you look for tires, if you go to 18s, a 255/40 18 is a perfect fit all the way around for all 4 tires. If you want to go 19s, you can stay with the 255, but you'll have to, if you want the same height, you'll have to change your aspect ratio. So if you go 255/35 19, that'll be the same height as a 255/40 18. So just keep that in mind. And then again, keep in mind your wheels. So if you want to go 19s, 255/35 19 will fit all the way around, but then you also need to pay attention to the offset of your wheel and then the face of the wheel on the backside to make sure it clears your calipers. If it doesn't clear, you can run spacers. I don't like to run, if I'm staying with stock lug nuts or wheel studs, I don't like to run anything larger than 2 millimeter because you lose so much of your wheel stud gripping strength. So if you go anything like 5 millimeter or more, I would change the wheel studs and go to longer wheel studs. So, and then when you do that, try to remember that if you put 5 millimeter spacers on the front but not the rear, I would say 5 millimeter would be okay. It wouldn't make the front stick out too far, but if you go too wide in the front and you don't put anything on the rear, your front wheels will stick out farther than your rear, and then it just looks kind of corny. Look at the old, I think it's like the 04 through 08, I think it was, Grand Prix GXPs and the Bonneville GXPs. They had wider tires on the front than the rear, and if you pay attention to it, you can actually see the wheels stick out farther in the front than the rear. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. So if you have any questions, hit me up, and I will try to explain it to the best of my knowledge. Have a good one.